Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you for today's session. It's been a long time now, I think more than a month ever since we had the regular Gita Live session which we used to have on Sunday evening at 4:30 p.m. I was waiting, maybe once the lockdown gets over, we can resume the sessions. There's always live sessions, sitting across, hearing face to face, always have its own appeal. But now, since the lockdown is likely to get extended, let us start and not miss out an opportunity to be in touch with this message. I'm sure many of you have been in touch with the message of Gita by finding time to read Bhagavad Gita and also attend various classes which we have been conducting and our temples have been conducting. We have been sending links to all of you, and I'm sure many of you might be attending the classes regularly. So today we will start the discussion on a very, very pertinent and relevant topic. And the topic for the day is facing life's challenges the Bhagavad Gita way. What we have thought is every week, instead of covering Bhagavad Gita verse by verse, chapter by chapter, we can take a particular topic. Like, for example, the topic for today is facing life's challenges. So we can take a particular topic, but it will be predominantly from the Bhagavad Gita. I'll be quoting some verses to substantiate what I am saying. So before we begin today's discussion, let's start with prayers. It's always important, it's always good that we understand these topics, the message of Gita, in the right mood, right frame of mind, seeking Lord's blessings. Krishna in the Gita says that this knowledge is the most confidential knowledge. So if we are not in the right frame of mind, right consciousness, right mood, begging Lord for His mercy so that we can comprehend the subject, we can listen to the message but can miss out the essence, the gist, the real meaning. Prabhupada says that one can lick the bottle of honey from outside without getting the real taste of honey. One can say, yes, I am licking the bottle of honey, but he has not opened the lid and actually tasted the honey. He is licking the bottle of honey but not getting the real taste. So quite possible that we are hearing from Bhagavad Gita, quite possible that we are reading the Gita, but we may miss out the real confidential meaning. So we will start with prayers. We will not be able to have it in a regular fashion, what we used to do, where I chant one line and then all of you repeat. So what I'll do is request all of you to kindly fold your hands if possible, depending on your situation at your place. If it is possible, you can fold your hands. If otherwise, you can just close your eyes for a while. And while I'm chanting these prayers, see if you can also join and also chant these prayers. So we'll start with the prayers, and immediately after the prayers, we will get into the discussion of the topic what we have planned for the day, which is facing life's challenges the Bhagavad Gita way. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha Namo Brahmane Devaya Go Brahmane Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So since we are doing a live session, I request, in case anyone has any doubts, any question, you can always type out those questions. And today I have Dhir Gopal Prabhu here with me. We will be making notes of all the questions which we receive, and I'll try my best to answer as many as possible after the discussion gets over. Now it is 4:40. We can go up till 5:20, and after 5:20 we will have some question answer session, and feel free to ask any doubts. Try as far as possible to ask questions which is relevant to the discussion what we have had today, the points what I have raised, and you can also ask questions even which is not relevant to what we have discussed, but preferably what we are discussing today, so that it's relevant to everyone. So the topic is facing life's challenges the Bhagavad Gita way. I thought this topic is very appropriate, more so because all of us are facing a relatively big challenge, something we had not even thought of, locked up in our houses for many, many days, many, many weeks, and no clarity as to how long this lockdown will be there and when normalcy will return. Let's hope for the best. Let's be optimistic. Let's hope that things will normalize very soon and we can also resume the classes the way we were doing. It always has its own charm when we get together, when we chant the names together, when we have prasadam together, meet each other face to face and talk to each other. So the current challenge, the coronavirus pandemic, with infections spreading and more so in Mumbai with maximum number of cases. So how do we go about facing life's challenges? The Bhagavad Gita way. Challenges can be faced in many ways. People resort to various techniques, tools, strategies to handle challenges. So let's see from Bhagavad Gita's perspective. Bhagavad Gita starts, as we all know, the two armies have assembled in the battlefield in Kurukshetra. On one side it's the Pandavas, the other side is the Kauravas. And just when the battle is about to begin, Arjuna requests Krishna, Krishna, can you please draw the chariot and place it in between the two armies so that I can have a closer look of my opponents, my enemy with whom we are going to fight. So Arjuna, based on the request of Arjuna, Krishna drew the chariot and placed it in between the two armies. And when Arjuna saw the opponents, the enemy against whom he has to fight, is his own kinsmen, own brothers, own relatives, near and dear ones. Bhishma Pitama was there, Dronacharya was there, his teacher, spiritual master. Karna, his cousins, his brothers. Although they were willing to fight against him, but still they were relatives. They were his own kinsmen. So when Arjuna saw them, he was completely bewildered and was into a very, very confused state of mind. The dilemma he had was, should he really fight this battle? Because if he fights this battle, even if he wins the battle, still he won't be able to enjoy the kingdom because it will be tainted with the blood of his own relatives. Generally, when we achieve something, we want to enjoy relishing that victory or achievement with our near and dear ones. What is the use of having a victory and our near and dear ones are not there to celebrate that moment, to celebrate that victory? Just like even the World Cup, when Indian team wins, they come back and then there are many, many functions organized to celebrate the victory. And that really gives the whole victory another wonderful perspective or dimension. So here Arjuna gets into a very big dilemma. In fact, a very perplexing situation. Even if he wins, actually it's a loss for him, according to what Arjuna thought. And anyway, when he loses the battle, it's loss. So just like we have win-win solution, here was a scenario where it was a lose-lose scenario. Even if he wins the battle, he is going to lose. If he loses the battle, anyway he has lost. And seeing his own kinsmen, own relatives, own brothers, elders, his mind starts reeling. He becomes very confused. And then towards the end of first chapter, Arjuna tells Krishna, Krishna, my mind is reeling. I am unable to stand any longer. My bow, Gandiva, is slipping from my hands. So these are all symptoms of a person who is in a very, very stressful situation. My hairs are standing on end, my mind is reeling, I am unable to think properly, I am not sure what I am supposed to do, my legs are trembling. And then towards the end of first chapter, Arjuna gives up his Gandiva bow and says, Krishna, I will not fight. Actually, the situation or challenges which we will encounter in life, or generally we encounter in life, is nothing in comparison to the situation which Arjuna was encountering, the challenge which Arjuna was encountering. In that battle, the whole family can be wiped out. Here people are afraid of death. What if they get infected? Yes, we know some statistics, some numbers. There is reason to be concerned about. But there was a battle in which lakhs and lakhs of soldiers would get killed. The whole family would get wiped out. The whole dynasty can get wiped out. That's what Arjuna also says. When the dynasty is lost, the women will become unchaste. Varna Sankara will be born. So, and Arjuna, being a lead fighter, the entire responsibility will lie on his head. Because of him, the whole thing happened. So that's why he gets in a very, very perplexed state of mind, very confused state of mind, very bewildered, and he says, Krishna, I'm not going to fight anymore. Now, a question to all of you. After hearing these statements of Arjuna, after seeing that he is completely confused, what did Krishna do? Did he take him through a crash course on stress management? He simply smiled and macro level, although he spoke many things without getting into details as to what he spoke right now, macro level, he spoke the Bhagavad Gita. And after hearing the message of Gita, the instructions of Lord Shri Krishna, we know what happened. All the doubts, all the confusions, all the dilemmas, all the misgivings, all the fear, all the anxiety which Arjuna had, everything got wiped out. Arjuna got up, took his bow Gandiva, fought that battle very enthusiastically and won the battle. So in other words, the message of Gita has the potency, has the power, irrespective of what situation we may face. Now the message of Gita or the instruction which Krishna shared with Arjuna is not relevant only for a battlefield. Something which is very specific to, a battlefield where the war is about to happen and those instructions are pertinent to war. No. Krishna spoke the wonderful message of Gita, some principles, some foundational understanding of who we are, what's the purpose of life. And that message is very empowering because it gives us a very, very empowered perspective of life. It gives us, we can, after hearing that message, have a very, very strong perspective and understanding that in spite of challenges in life, we will not be shaken. That's what happened to Arjuna. He heard the message, all his doubts, dilemmas were gone. He got up, fought very enthusiastically, and won the battle. So if we also have to win the battles of life, if we also have to face life's challenges, it is very, very important that we have a good understanding of message of Gita. Not only just the understanding, we should try our best to apply those teachings. These words of Bhagavad Gita are immortal. It is not that they were relevant only 5,000 years back. In fact, in present times, in modern times, more things are changing. Things are constantly, there's a flux, things are changing very fast. Because Bhagavad Gita talks about timeless Vedic principles which haven't changed. Principles don't change. Application of principles might change. So the principles of Bhagavad Gita, the message of Gita, which was relevant 5,000 years back, is very, very relevant even today. And we all can immensely benefit if we are equipped with that message. Now, as we all know, in computer we have something called as hard disk, which could be 1 terabyte. And there is a RAM, random access memory. The speed at which the computer executes various instructions, a lot has to do with RAM, how much RAM it has. So likewise, Bhagavad Gita might be there in our homes. It's like the hard disk. Bhagavad Gita is there, the knowledge of Gita is there. You might have an e-book, you might have access to Veda base or online Bhagavad Gita. That's like the hard disk. You have access to that knowledge. The knowledge is there. But is that knowledge available in your RAM? RAM means when we face challenges, are you able to have that knowledge accessible to you to use it, to apply it in that situation? That is critical. Many times we might have heard about Gita's message, but when we handle challenges, it's all left behind. And at times we might not be able to face challenges the Bhagavad Gita way. So when Arjuna spoke about his bewildering situation, Krishna spoke the message of Gita. Now many times people, when they face challenges in life, they, as I mentioned earlier, they can resort to various strategies, various tools, various ways of handling those challenges. And as we all know, many times people end up smoking. It gives them relief, stress buster. They can start drinking, consuming alcohol, to the extent that a person can become an alcoholic. People can get into drugs. Now mind you, all these are not solving the problems. Temporary relief we get because it stuns our brain. We temporarily forget the problem. We get into some kind of a artificial high state where we forget the problem. But when that effect of intoxication is over, we are back to square one. We haven't solved the problem, but temporarily we have forgotten the problems. People might even get into excessive entertainment. I remember when I was in college, there was a friend of mine. He used to be very stressful during exam times, and he would invariably, because when it was between the exams, we would have 2 days holidays for the next exam, he would go for movies. What movies does is, you get into another space. A nice movie can take you into another world, another dimension, and you can forget your reality. So in the long run, we can press the pause button. We can find some quick fix solutions. We can forget the problems for the time being, but we haven't really addressed the problem. So now let's understand what Bhagavad Gita says. Before I get into what Gita says, let me share with you a very, very nice quote of Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein said, the challenges we face, the problems of life which we face cannot be solved by being at the same level of thinking we were when we created those problems. It's a very wonderful quote with a lot of deep meaning, full of wisdom. He says the challenges we face in life cannot be solved by being at the same level of thinking we were when we created those problems. So Arjuna was at one level of thinking, one level of understanding of who he is, what the world is all about, my relatives, my friends, my kingdoms, my dynasty. He was at one level of thinking. So what Einstein is saying, the challenges we face cannot be solved by being at the same level of thinking we were when we created those problems. So Arjuna, being at that level of thinking, created a problem. Many times we create problems. You may not realize this fact, but it's a fact that many times we create problems by being at one level of thinking. Sometimes people are very sensitive. It's because of sensitive nature they create problems. Sometimes people are very short-tempered. Because of that short-tempered nature, they create problems. These are gross examples. Likewise, because of having faulty paradigms, faulty understanding of the world, faulty understanding of people, faulty understanding of the fundamentals of life, who I am, we can create problems. That's why Krishna in the Gita says, Dhiras tatranam muhyati. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. That means some changes can happen. A person who is not sober, who is not wise, can be bewildered. We can create problems. So, Dhiras tatranam muhyati. So Krishna is expecting us to become a dhira, a sober man, a wise man. So the challenges we face cannot be solved by being at the same level of thinking we were when we created those problems. So Arjuna was at one level of thinking. What Krishna did was, by speaking the message of Gita, changed his level of thinking, elevated him from that state of thinking which was creating those bewildering situations to another state of thinking, another consciousness. And with that perspective, with that understanding of world, those problems failed to, actually the problems didn't change. The battle was still there for Arjuna to fight. Krishna did not give a solution, okay, you go back home, I'll fight the battle and then come back and tell you the result. Arjuna had to still fight the same enemy, same kinsmen, same relatives in the same battlefield. Same circumstances. Circumstances didn't change. Situation didn't change. The battlefield didn't change. But what changed was Arjuna's thinking, Arjuna's perspective, Arjuna's worldview, Arjuna's understanding of the problem. So likewise, many times people say, does Gita have the solution for this problem? Actually, Gita has solution to all the problems. Problems which we might have encountered in our life and problems which we don't even know, which we might encounter in life. Why? It is not necessarily giving a very, very prescriptive solution for each problem. Okay, you have anger problem, do this, your anger problem will get solved. You have sleep problem, do this, your sleep problem will get solved. Krishna is giving an empowered perspective of life. Krishna is giving some very fundamental instructions. And if we are having that knowledge with us, we'll be viewing life differently. We'll be viewing the problems differently. And those so-called problems which can overwhelm us, which can bewilder us, which can take us off guard. Like for example, in present time, many people are very bewildered, very fearful, panic-stricken. In the same situation, with that perspective, one can be peaceful, one can be calm. And not that a person thinks that there is no problem. With that empowered perspective, do what a person can do to solve the problem. Like Arjuna, with that empowered perspective, actually did his duty as a Kshatriya. He fought the battle. He didn't run away from that battle. Message of Gita is not from escaping ourselves from the problems. It is dealing with the problems in the right way, with the right perspective, with the right knowledge. And as I mentioned, the knowledge of Gita is not specific to a particular problem. It's not meant only for a problem of a battlefield. It's meant for every one of us. And the message can be applied in all aspects of our life. So, as Einstein mentioned, the challenges we face cannot be by being at the same level of thinking. What Krishna did was moved Arjuna from one level of thinking to another higher, a better level of thinking, a better worldview. Now, one might ask, what was that worldview? It's from the second chapter itself, where Krishna tells Arjuna about the understanding of soul. Where Krishna says, Mamaiv amsho jiva loke, we are his amsha. As Atma, we are his amsha. And jiva bhuta sanatana, and this amsha of Lord, jiva, we are sanatana. Sanatana means eternal. Ajo nitya shashvato ayam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. And this Atma is nitya, shashvata, eternal. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. When the body dies, this Atma does not die. See, we always have fear of death. What if we die? But assuming we have an empowered perspective that I am a spirit soul and I am eternal, there is no death for me. I will never die. Yes, the body will die. Krishna says that for one who has taken birth is sure to die, and for one who dies is sure to take birth again. For example, now we buy different dresses. Every dress have some, how many washes it can go through, how many times you can wear. There is a limited life to everything. Some dresses might last few years, depending again on usage. Some dresses which are quite flimsy may last for a few months. Or for that matter, Krishna in the Gita says, Vasamshi jirnani yatha vihaya. Just like Vasa means dress. When it becomes old, when the dresses get torn, we change the dress and we wear another dress. We are very, very clear that I am different from the dress. When the dress becomes old, I change the dress and I wear another dress. So likewise, Krishna gives this perspective of Atma where he says that this body is like a dress, and what the phenomena of death, which everyone is scared of, nobody wants to die, everyone is afraid of death, is just a change of body. And which Krishna says, even in this life, we do change bodies. If we look back and see our family album, there was a time when I was a young boy. I had a body when I was maybe 5 years old. That body is not there anymore. I have a completely different body, because medical science says every 7 years, each and every cell of our body gets replaced by new cell. Constantly the cells are dying and are being replaced by new cells. So in that sense, the body what I had when I was 7 years old or 15 years old or 20 years old, vis-a-vis the body what I have today, it's a completely different body. Because after all, body is constituted by cells. The cells have changed. But I confidently say, this is me when I was 2 years old. This is me when I was 10 years old. So what has not changed is the real self, the Atma. And the body has changed. I no longer have the body which I had when I was 2 years old. So likewise, Krishna says, just like the change is happening even in this life, another change will happen at the point of death. And dhiras tatra namuhyati, a sober person, a person who is wise, who understands that I am the Atma, is not bewildered with such a change. For many people, death is very fearful. No doubt there are many reasons, many challenges which a person can be fearful of. But death of our near and dear ones. Now we have invested so much of love, emotions, feelings, our near and dear ones, we're so attached to them. What if they're no longer with us? And many times when someone loses his near and dear ones because of intense attachment for days together, months together, years together, a person is not able to come out of that shock. I give this example of Jagjit Singh, Chitra Singh. Their son died in an accident, and she was so rattled with that. Naturally, for a mother, a young son to die untimely, it's a very big thing. And she was so rattled, so affected by that she stopped singing from that particular day. Although she was a very good singer, they used to always sing together, Jagjit Singh, Chitra. She stopped singing. She didn't want to sing. She couldn't sing because she was so shocked with that news. So Krishna tells us that we are not the body. So generally, most of us, we have a concept of life, a paradigm that I am the body. That's called bodily concept of life. Most of us have. Again, even if we are becoming devotees, even if we have message, the degrees might vary. Again, depending on our spiritual advancement, depending on how much self-realized we are, how much advancement we have made on this path. All of us are in bodily concept of life, like Arjuna was, apparently was. Arjuna being a pure devotee of the Lord, with Krishna next to him, for him to be in ignorance is difficult, but he was put in that kind of a scenario where he could ask those kind of bewildering questions, and Arjuna could share, and Krishna could share the message of Gita, not only for him, for the entire humanity. So, Arjuna got into that situation, Krishna spoke the message of Gita, and today all of us have this immortal message which we can benefit from. So when we, bodily concept of, what is bodily concept of life? Bodily concept of life means where, because of ahankara, false ego, I think I am the body. So if anything happens to the body, it affects me. Me means the Atma. If the body is becoming old, I think I am becoming old. If the body is diseased, I think that I am diseased. If the body is likely to, or a person is likely to meet death, he's encountered some terminal illness, because of bodily concept, there will be a lot of fear because I am going to die. Actually, I as Atma will not die. Just because we have identified ourselves with the body, the fear of death is there. So what Krishna gave to Arjuna was another perspective, another concept, which is a spiritual concept of life. I am that Atma, I am that soul. I am eternal servant of Krishna. Ajo nitya shashvato ayam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. When the body dies, the soul does not die. So if one is firmly convinced and is situated in a spiritual understanding with spiritual consciousness that I am that Atma and Atma is eternal, this body is like a dress, then even if something happens to the body, I know practical might be a little difficult because we are very deeply rooted in bodily concept of life. It takes many years of sadhana, practice, austerities, learning, shravanam, hearing, spiritual advancement for us to come out of this bodily concept of life. So till we are in bodily concept of life and identified with the body, we will be fearful because body is in constant flux. Even if we want to protect the body, we cannot protect. The body will become old, body will become diseased, body will get infected. One day the body has to cease to exist. We have to die. We have examples of very, very powerful emperors of the world. Presidents of countries like United States. A time comes, they have to leave and go. The soul has to discard the body and move on and accept another body. As sure as death. We've heard about this. There are many things where, how long will this infection last? We're not sure. Pandemic, how long it's going to, how many deaths going to happen? We're not sure. But one thing is for sure. They say, death, as sure as death. It's inevitable for the body to die. So if we are identified with the body, naturally we'll have fear. Naturally we will have pain. We will be not only identified with the bodily relationship. Anything happens to my relative, anything happens to my son, anything happens to my daughter, anything happens to my near and dear one, it affects me. I have given this example that when I was young, I used to watch cricket. And I was very thickly identified with the team. Every over, every ball, you are mapping, you are very, very concerned what's going to happen next, whether we're going to win the match, whether we're going to hit the ball, or what if the person gets out. So always anxious. Will the Indian team lose? Will it win? Because I have identified myself with the team. Now, since I don't watch cricket, Indian team is winning or losing, but irrespective of whether team wins or loses, I'm unaffected by it because I'm not identified myself with the Indian team. So this is a very, very nice perspective which Krishna gives. That's why Krishna in the second chapter tells Arjuna, "Oh Arjuna, you're talking like a wise man, learned man, but you're mourning for that which is not worth of grief." Because he was talking about my family, my society, my dynasty. It was rooted in bodily concept of life. I and mine, aham ameti. So Arjuna, when he talked about this bodily concept of life, Krishna gave a completely different perspective that you're not the body. You're a spirit soul. You're eternal. This body anyway has to die one day. And this soul is eternal, shashvat, nitya. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So next question is, how do we have this empowered perspective? How do we get this spiritual perspective? So one thing is very clear, all of us will face challenges, will encounter different challenges in life. If not today, tomorrow. Material life is like that. Now, when people face challenges, people can get into depression. People can, as I told earlier, they can get into drugs because they cannot handle the stress, the pressure, the tension, They need relief. We have seen many people, chewing tobacco because it gives them, it stimulates, gets them instant kick. So now, how do we get the spiritual perspective, this empowered perspective? And if we have that perspective, as I mentioned, we will be able to face any of those life's challenges. So the solution is very simple. The solution is common for all the challenges. And that solution, a simple practical solution for us to get that empowered perspective, the spiritual perspective, by which we can see our problems differently and face the challenges of life boldly, without getting bewildered, without getting overwhelmed. And we can get that perspective if we do 4 things. Again, we can do many things, but to simplify, we can use an acronym. If we just do A, B, C, D. It's easy for us to remember. Many times we might get some solutions, prescription, we can forget the solution. What can be a simpler solution if I say the solution is simple? All you have to do is A, B, C and D. All of us can remember. Swamiji took a class, Facing Life Challenges. He asked us to do a simple thing. What is that? It's easy to remember A, B, C and D. A stands for association. Constantly we have to seek association of devotees, of great acharyas, of the Lord, of the holy name. Association has power. Sangat sanjayate kama. Depending on what kind of association we keep, we'll develop that kind of desires. So constantly we should strive for, the very fact that today you are listening shows that you are seeking good association. In today's time, we have a lot of, you could be watching television show, you could be watching some game of cricket. I'm sure different channels must be streaming different things, some news updates, some documentaries, National Geography. The very fact that you are listening to me shows that you are interested in spiritual matter. We should strive to association of devotees, association where we can hear the message of the Lord, about the Lord, Hari Katha. So A stands for association. Then B stands for books. Association can be of different forms. Srila Prabhupada stressed that we should, on a daily basis, as part of our schedule, incorporate reading of his books. Reading of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada has written many, many books, more than 70 books translated in different languages. Many of us might be chanting daily but may not be reading daily. There was a quote which says that if we pray only when we are in problem, then we are in problem. So if we read Bhagavad Gita only when we are in a problem, we are in a problem. Because this knowledge, this perspective has to be cultivated. On a daily basis, we have to read, and that knowledge has to seep into our consciousness, into our understanding. It doesn't happen just by reading once. So much of agyan is there, so much of ignorance is there, so much of wrong understanding is there. Our consciousness is so much contaminated. Just like on a daily basis we take bath to cleanse our body, likewise on a daily basis we have to hear, we have to read, we have to associate to cleanse our dirt in our consciousness. This bodily concept is reinforced every moment. Moment you see a television ad, the bodily concept is reinforced. that person is hugging a girl and he's smiling, it reinforces bodily concept of life. Eat this, drink this, you will be happy. See this, you will be happy. Travel like this, you will be happy. It's all reinforcing bodily concept of life. So just like we take bath and then we get dirty, we perspire, we might go through a place, dust accumulates on our body, we again take a bath. Likewise, on a daily basis, we should associate, daily basis, we should read Srila Prabhupada's books, Bhagavad Gita, etc. So A, B, C stands for chanting. Chanting the holy name, which is the Yuga Dharma, which is the easiest process. The other day we were talking about that in present times, one might not be able to go to the temple. We may not be able to go and have darshan of the deities. But we can chant the holy names of the Lord. That's why it's called Yuga Dharma. Many temples, they're not able to offer flower garlands because it's difficult in present times to source fresh flowers. But irrespective of circumstance, situation, we can always chant the names of God. Chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So C stands for chanting. And D stands for diet. As we all know, we have heard this many times. Jaisa an, vaisa man. If we eat the wrong things, it will have a wrong impact. It will have an impact on our consciousness. Food has an impact on our thinking, feeling and willing. So, diet, it is important that we eat sattvic diet, vegetarian diet, and not only vegetarian diet, it is good that we offer whatever we eat to the Lord and take Krishna Prasadam. If we take, Prabhupada many places says, if you just simply these two things, just two things he says, using tongue you vibrate the name of Krishna, the holy names of Krishna, and take a promise that you will eat only Krishna Prasadam, all your senses will get controlled. The mind and senses will get controlled. Krishna says, mind who is uncontrolled is a worst enemy. So Prabhupada says, just by doing these two simple things, vibrating the tongue has two functions, to taste and to vibrate, to produce sound. If we talk about Krishna, chant the names of Krishna and resolve that I will have only Krishna Prasadam diet, then it's easy for us to control our senses. So simple thing, A, B, C, D. If we chant daily, read daily, associate with the devotees and take the right kind of food, we will have bright consciousness, we will have an empowered perspective. And with that perspective, come what may, come whatever challenges we might encounter in our lives, we will pass through them boldly without getting overwhelmed, without getting rattled. So these are the simple things with some practical do's and don'ts which we can go about handling the life's challenges. And this is very much relevant even for this present challenge of coronavirus pandemic. Instead of getting too bewildered, we can utilize this time which we have during lockdown to chant more, to read more, to hear more, to associate with the devotees. Fortunately, in present times, we have association available. We are in an information age. On internet, on YouTube, we can have so many, we can hear the lectures, we can hear the talks by devotees, and we can benefit immensely. So now I will take up few questions. It's already 5:25. I will also, wherever possible, read out the name of the devotees who has asked this particular question, so that This is Kavindra Sharma ji. Let's say we are more afraid of pain during death than death itself. How it is addressed by Gita? Krishna in the Gita says, Mak chitta sarva durgani mat prasadat tarishyasi. We do not know what kind of challenges we might encounter in life. Yes, death can be very painful. Imagine somebody is having cancer and the whole body the organs are failing. It can be a very painful scenario. But Krishna assures, Mak chitta sarva durgani mat prasadat. By my grace, by my mercy, by my strength, you will cross over. Mak chitta sarva durgani. He is not talking about a specific easy problems. Mak chitta, if you become conscious of me, Mak chitta sarva durgani mat prasadat. By my mercy, by my grace, by my blessings, you will cross over. So we have to, if we have developed our relationship with Krishna, we have invested time in relationship with Krishna, Krishna will give us strength. Krishna is not some, it's like a mutual reciprocal relationship. When we are trying to serve Krishna, Krishna is taking care of us, his devotees. Na me bhakte pranashyati. So when we face challenging time, Krishna will give us the strength. Krishna will give us the tolerance. If the pain is there, Krishna will give us the strength to tolerate that pain. Avashya rakshi bi Krishna e vishwasa palana. We should have that faith, that conviction that Krishna will surely protect me. So what if we are more afraid of pain? We don't have to be afraid of pain. Yes, pain can be could be very painful experience. But if we are conscious of Krishna, our real fear should be, I should not forget Krishna. The real fear should be that I should not get so overwhelmed and bewildered that I completely keep Krishna aside or lose faith in Krishna. That should be our fear. And if we have Krishna by our side in our consciousness, constantly chanting the names of Krishna, then Krishna will give us the strength to pass that test. In fact, Krishna will not give untimely tests to his devotees. Krishna will give tests which devotees can easily pass. So we don't have to be worried about the pain which we have. Even if the pain is there, have faith that Krishna will give us the strength to pass through that challenge. This is Satyam Chaudhary. When we realize that we are not this body but the spirit soul, then would we get detached from material problems just like you get fully detached when you stop watching cricket? This cricket is a crude example. I stopped watching cricket because now I am a spiritualist. I am a monk. I am a missionary. What I am saying is that just like I gave example of Arjuna, after hearing Bhagavad Gita, he did not leave the battlefield. Krishna also did not give him a solution. Okay, you are bewildered, better you go and, I will fight for you. I started my conversation saying that Arjuna still had to fight the same battle. The circumstances didn't change. Situation didn't change. His problems didn't change. But what changed was his thinking, his perspective. So, the question is, when we think that we are not the body, we are spirit soul, then will we get detached from material problems? No. We have to face the problems. If suppose somebody is facing challenges in his family life, he should not run away from family life. He still has to execute his responsibilities, but with the right understanding, with the right perspective, with the right consciousness, with the right knowledge, with the instructions of Gita in the forefront of his consciousness, he should execute his responsibilities and not run away from it. That is the message of Gita. Unlike the example of cricket, where I completely cut off myself from the cricket, which is a crude example just to say that how when I am not watching cricket, I am not getting affected. That's not the scenario with how we should deal with our challenges in life. For example, now this coronavirus pandemic, just by saying that I know the Gita, I am a spirit soul, I am not fanatic. I still will take all precautions. Whatever precautions is being recommended, social distancing, wearing the mask, not going out unnecessarily, I will still do. I will not say I'm spirit, soul, I don't care. I'm not the body. I will not say that. I still handle that problem responsibly, but without getting bewildered in the process. This is Manas from Hyderabad. If someone is over enthusiastic for Krishna's service, then is it relevant? How can overcome seriousness in spirituality? Somehow the question is not very clear. If someone is, I probably might answer whatever I have understood. My understanding may be wrong of the question, but nevertheless I will attempt an answer based on what I have understood. If someone is over enthusiastic for Krishna's service, then is it relevant? Yes, service is also, like when I said A, B, C, D, service of the Lord is also very important, sevaya. Somebody is over enthusiastic about Lord's service, it's very good. If the question is that if suppose somebody is over enthusiastic about Lord's service and he neglects his material service or material duties, will it do harm to him? The answer is we should try to balance. While we are in this material world, we have some responsibilities. We cannot shy away and cannot ignore or neglect those responsibilities. We should try to execute those responsibilities in the best possible way, keeping the instructions of Krishna in the forefront of our consciousness. This is question from Lokesh Gurnani. How to be more conscious of Lord? I gave a very practical solution, A, B, C, D. Association of devotees who are more conscious of Lord, who are more Krishna conscious. Prabhupada says if you associate with a drunkard, quite possible over a long period of time, we might also start drinking and become a drunkard. Association has a lot of power. So we should seek association of pure devotees. Prabhupada, if we hear him on a daily basis, hear his Vani, he is Krishna conscious. By hearing him, by associating with him, we will also become Krishna conscious. By reading books of Prabhupada, by reading Bhagavad Gita as it is, we will become more conscious of Krishna. By eating the right kind of food, by chanting the names of the Lord, these are all simple practical things which will help us elevate in our consciousness and become more Krishna conscious. Is there any digital library of Srila Prabhupada? Any website? Yes. In today's time, there are many possibilities for us to access Prabhupada's words, Prabhupada's Vanis, Prabhupada's lectures, Prabhupada's teachings, Prabhupada's conversation. There is prabhupadvani.com. You can check prabhupadvani.org or .com, Prabhupada Vani. There's another website called prabhupadabooks.org. There are many, there is a thing called online Veda Base, VEDA Veda Base, which is compilation of repository of all Prabhupada books, conversation, lectures, talks. And even on YouTube, there are many lectures of Prabhupada, many audiobooks available in various formats, which we can download and which we can hear. There is no shortage. If somebody has a desire to listen to Prabhupada or read his books, just he has to Google and he'll get all the material at his fingertips. So there is ample of resources available. When it comes to, this is Sudhir Reddy, when it comes to reality, it is finding difficult to put into practice what we learned from Bhagavad Gita. Please help us with some suggestions. The question is that theoretically, yes, it might be very appealing that you hear that I am not the body, I am a spirit soul. Theoretically, yes, it makes sense, I am not the body. But when it comes to practical application, the question is, it's very difficult. We are finding it difficult to put into practice what we have learned from the Bhagavad Gita. Many times when we hear from the Bhagavad Gita, we have theoretical understanding. We don't have realization of that knowledge. In other words, that's why Krishna in the Gita says, Jnana Vijnana Sahitam. One is just the knowledge, I am not the body. One is the realization of that knowledge that I am not the body. The theoretical knowledge has limitation as to how much it can help us. Because after all, it's theory. We are deeply realized, convinced that I am the body. And theoretically, superficially, we say, I am not the body, I am a spirit soul. It will not help. That's why it says, if we pray to the Lord only when we are in a problem, we are in a problem. So that's why we have to take spiritual life little seriously. On a daily basis, we have not only when we have problem, we have to read Bhagavad Gita and try to find a solution or raise our perspective. No. On a daily basis, we have to chant, daily basis, we have to read, daily basis, we have to associate so that we get deeper realizations. It becomes our natural thinking, feeling and willing. Our default thinking, right now our default thinking, feeling, willing is bodily concept. We are so deeply entrenched in the understanding, in the realization that I am the body, that it is difficult, it is artificial for us to believe and think that I am a soul. It's artificial. That's why at times it appears it's artificial. I'm not able to apply the instruction of Gita. There's a death in the family, a person is completely rattled because it is difficult for him to apply the teachings. Because he is deeply convinced that I am the body. That's why we should pray to the Lord, beg the Lord for deep realizations. These deep realizations come by the blessings of the Lord, by blessings of Acharya. We have to be blessed with that. Krishna in the Gita says, Raj Vidya Raj Guhyam. And then the next line he says, Pratyaksha Avagamam. Pratyaksha means evident. Just like when a person's shirt gets torn, you do not cry much. You just change the dress and you are the normal self. Because you are deeply realized that you are not the shirt. You are different from the shirt. But today, as far as the body is concerned, we are not that deeply realized. It's only a theoretical knowledge, a theoretical understanding at best. Therefore, we have to be a little patient. We have to beg Lord for that realization. On a daily basis, we have to cultivate this knowledge, cultivate that perspective, that empowered perspective, so that when the need comes, we have that perspective. I'll give you one example. How we can see that in practice, a person is not bewildered. Srila Prabhupada, when in 1977, when he came back to India, when he was in Vrindavan, last days, he left this body in Vrindavan. This was in the month of November. So his health was deteriorating every day. Organs were failing. In fact, the time came, Prabhupada was completely bedridden and all his organs were failing. He even stopped eating. But even when he was in that state, he has stopped eating, all organs one by one are failing. Body is in complete pain in that sense physically. But his consciousness is crystal clear. We have some video recording, it's also there on the YouTube. Prabhupada in the last days is completely lying on the bed. Apparently the body is in pain, but his consciousness is completely unaffected by that pain. You can see him dictating Bhakti Vedanta purports, saying that everything is moving under the direction of Krishna. This consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. Body is in pain, organs are failing. But because he is deeply realized that he is not the body, his consciousness is unaffected by what is happening to his body. He is very, very clear, very, very Krishna conscious. This is a very good example that how initially for us, these are two different things. Knowledge is there, practice is difficult. But when that knowledge turns into realization, it is very much easy to practice this understanding when we face challenges in life. If someone is already fluent in Bhagavad Gita and Hari Katha, still sometimes acts inappropriately, example, too scared, too attached, short-tempered, how to talk to them about it without hurting their ego? We should avoid unnecessarily correcting other people unless it is our duty. In that sense, we should mind our own business. Rather than correcting someone that a person acts inappropriately, too scared, too attached, short-tempered, quite possible we might also have those qualities in us. Many times we get overly engrossed in finding what is not okay with others. Rather, we should look at what I can do to improve abnormal behavior, or for that matter, overly attached or scared or short-tempered, and he knows Bhagavad Gita and all that. As I mentioned earlier, a person can have theoretical knowledge, may not have realization. That is possibility number one. Possibility number two is, although he might have read the Gita, for example, now, you may have the best of doctors, you may have the best of hospitals, but still people are dying. In New York City, we know there was a time when 1,000 people died in a day. I'm sure it's not because of the doctors are not well trained. I'm sure it's not because the hospital was not well equipped. Many people who got to ventilators, they died. It's not that the ventilator didn't function. Just that they were in an infected state, a diseased state. Doctors also could not help. So sometimes the anarthas we have, being angry, being short-tempered, could be very deep. Could be very deep. The disease could be very, very deep-rooted. For example, now you may go to a doctor when the cancer is in stage 4. The doctors may not be able to help. So somebody may be very deeply, in bodily concept of life, or may be very short-tempered. Still he is reading Gita. Now, have we analyzed what if he would have not read the Gita? What if he would have not followed the message of Gita? Who knows? His problem must be still more aggravated. So we should not prematurely judge. Yes, a person who may be reading Gita may still be getting angry. A person who is chanting may still be fearful, possible. I'm not saying that anybody who is reading Gita will become fearless. Not everyone who goes to a school will pass the exam. Not everyone who goes to a school, in the same class, in the same subject, with the same teacher, with the same textbook, one student gets 90%, another student gets 35%. The problem is not with the teacher, problem may not be the textbook, problem may not with the kind of training that person went. There are a lot of parameters which are in play. So likewise, we should not prematurely judge that a person is reading Gita, a person is chanting, still he is getting short-tempered. Possible. Who knows, he is having a very deep anartha, and in spite of doing that, still anarthas remain. So we should be patient with such kind of a person and see if we can advise, if he is willing to, in the right frame of mind. This is Vihang Kathe. How to bring our focus back in this time of pandemic when negative news is all around. Even news is one kind of association. So there was a time when I was also very curious. I will tell my case. There was a time when I was also very curious. I was keeping a tab of what's happening in different countries, how the infection is spreading. There was a scoreboard with all statistics, how many increased, how many deaths, how many infected, how many got cured, country-wise, state-wise, city-wise. And I used to Google News. I used to invariably, 5, 6, 8 times a day I would go and keep myself updated. And a person is generally curious. He wants to know. That's our innate this thing. So what I have done now of late is just 2 times in a day I will watch. And I have also limited that not more than 5 to 8 minutes. So that I limit myself to headlines. I am aware of what's happening, but I don't soak myself in that understanding. Whatever needs to be known, the lockdown has been extended, these many areas have been quarantined, that news you should know. So whatever needs to be known, you know that, but don't associate too deeply. Don't get into all kinds of channels where, moment to moment they're analyzing all the cases, everything. Unnecessary, because as you rightly mentioned, there's a lot of negative news. There's a lot of news about death, people getting infected, stage 3 of infection, now, things going out of control and all that. Hear the news, but don't hear too much, because as I said, too much negative news also is one kind of association, and it can it can bring us more in bodily concept of life. Because all around what we see is ignorance. Again, ignorance in the sense, all of us, all around us, people are in bodily concept of life. Very, very few people have the understanding of the soul, what Krishna is teaching us. And we are associating with those persons, their opinions, their thinking, their suggestions. So we limit our association to such people and rather seek positive association, read more of Gita, chant more. That will help us in present times. This is no way to turn a blind eye to reality. We are still aware, pandemic is there, infection is there, people are dying. We don't say that, okay, I don't care, or we don't even take the scenario, nothing is happening wrong, everything is fine, Lord is taking care. No, yes, it's there. Whatever needs to be known, bare minimum, know about it, and don't completely get sucked into the whole news. Is the total number of souls on this planet are fixed, then include souls of all living entities? Is there formation of new souls? The answer is, the total number of souls are constant. Never ever there was a time when the souls did not exist, or they will cease to exist, or they came into being. So then I have heard this question many, many times, and people say, lot of mosquitoes, when is rain, the breeding of mosquitoes happens. So where does these mosquitoes come? If you are saying that the souls are constant, or for that matter, there is poultry farms. They are farming different kinds of things for meat industry and all that. So where are these souls coming from? So the answer is, the souls are constant, but as we all know, there are 84 lakh species. The souls can be in any of these life forms, including bacteria. They also have a soul. We have heard in biology books, read about amoeba, parasimium, all those things. Paramecium, single-celled body, this thing. They also have souls. The worms in our body may have souls. So just that when we see breeding of mosquitoes happening or something like that, just that some souls which were in a different body possibly are getting a form of body in the form of mosquitoes. So the souls are changing from one body to another. It's not that new souls are taking birth. When you say association of devotees, is it necessary that they should be only pure devotees and not regular devotees whom we meet at the temple? We can associate with regular devotees also, but purer the devotee, much potent the association. For example, if you hear my talk and you hear talk of Srila Prabhupada, quite possible that you might find my talk more interesting, more examples, with more stories, and you might like the talk. But the spiritual transformation which will happen when we hear to Srila Prabhupada's talk will be much higher. The potency of Srila Prabhupada's talk is much higher. For example, we talk about medicine. This medicine is more potent. In all sphere we say this is more potent, this is more, even for that matter when we buy ghee in the market, you get ghee for 400 rupees a liter also, you get for 900 rupees also, you get for 2000 rupees also. There's a difference. All are called ghee. They're all called pure ghee. Why there's a difference? Milk you can get for 42 rupees a liter, you can get 80 rupees a liter, you can also get 100 rupees a liter. Why? All are milk. Vegetables, you can get vegetables, you can get organic vegetables, which is almost double the price. Same vegetables. So, everyone is talking from Gita. I am also talking from Gita. Prabhupada is also talking from Gita. But, there's a difference. So, there's no harm hearing from other devotees also, but given a choice, we all have limited time. Given a choice, we should strive to hear from pure devotees, great acharyas. We should cultivate hearing from Srila Prabhupada directly. Prabhupada lectures are there online. When I was young, I have shared this earlier, I was very fond of bhajans of Anup Jalota. And always had a dilemma. Morning when I get up, first thing I would play a bhajan. Either I should play a Anup Jalota bhajan or Prabhupada bhajan. Now, Prabhupada bhajan was relatively not very melodious, relatively. Again, because I was very neophyte, I would find Anup Jalota's bhajans very soul-stirring and very spiritually surcharged. But yes, momentarily we can feel good, but there is no real transformation or change of heart happening by hearing such bhajans. When we hear the words of pure devotees, although we may not get maja, we all look for maja. Oh, he spoke so nicely. There are a lot of so-called speakers on YouTube who are very humorous. When you hear them, you can, bahut maja aaya. It was very interesting. Interesting is secondary. We are not looking for entertainment in spirituality. Although, yes, talk can be interesting, nothing wrong about it. But that should not be the primary driving factor in our choice of whom we should listen. If you go to Astha channel and all that, there are many, many so-called kathakars who speak very nicely with lot of feelings, lot of emotions. But they may be professional speakers, it's their livelihood. That's why we see a lot of scandals in the marketplace. So-called big spiritual leaders, very mesmerizing in their talks, very good orators. But later on we find them behind bars, embroiled in some scandals. What happened to their so-called mesmerizing talks? So we should not get cheated. In the market there is 24 karat gold, real gold, there is also imitation gold. Everything looks gold. Everyone is talking from Gita. I am also talking from Gita. Prabhupada is also talking from Gita. But Prabhupada's talk is different. It is replete with realization. It's very potent. And we should strive as far as possible to hear from pure devotees. This is question from Lakshmikant. what is self-realization? Can a person see the soul? Soul is not material. So we cannot see the soul with our material senses, material eyes. If the question is, can we see the soul with our material eyes? The answer is no. Because soul is spiritual. It is anti-material, anti-matter. And hence, we can only perceive the soul by spiritual realization. That's why Krishna in the Gita says, Pratyakshagamam. That does not mean it's a blind faith. Maybe we start with faith. Yes, the soul is there, Krishna is talking about it. But a time will come when that is not just a theoretical concept, it becomes a realized knowledge. It becomes pratyaksha, it becomes evident. Today, when I tell Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister of the country, it's not a theory for you. It's a reality. It is a real thing for you. So same way, a time will come when we are sufficiently self-realized, we will have no doubt in the understanding that I am a spirit soul. And we will be realized that I am not the body. And that happens by spiritual advancement, not by seeing. So many people saw Krishna in the battlefield, they didn't realize that Krishna is God. Seeing is not that way very important. So many people saw Krishna. What is really important is realization through hearing. And more so in spiritual subject matter, we can perceive the fact not by seeing through our gross senses, but by realizing, by hearing from superior authorities, pure devotees. Arjuna heard the entire Gita from Lord and understood, but when his son died, Abhimanyu, did he not grieve? How the message was taken if we was lost so soon within few days? If it was lost so soon. Now, I might be talking about the message of Gita. Yes, if someone near and dear to me dies or leaves the body, or for that matter some devotees also die, I will also cry. That is human. That does not, there's a difference. When we have the deep realization, there are people, as I gave example of Jagjit Singh Chitra, they completely rattled. The carpet is pulled out from under their feet. For the rest of the life, they have grief-stricken. They cannot come out of that shock. Vis-a-vis that scenario, yes, when you lose someone, you are grief-stricken. There is pain. When Prabhupada left the body, a lot of devotees cried for days together. That does not mean that realization was not there. We miss that person. Yes, that person was there with us. Now he is no longer with us physically. But a person is still looking that with the right understanding. Momentarily, for few days, the grief will be there. That's why in ISKCON you will be surprised. Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day, we celebrate. We have a feast on that day. If a person is grief-stricken, generally on the death anniversary of a person, we don't celebrate. In fact, on that death anniversary, we are morose, that person on this day died. But in ISKCON, in our temples, all the acharyas' disappearance day, we celebrate. Although we miss their physical presence, but we celebrate in the sense they came, the Lord sent them, they came on a mission of the Lord, they fulfilled the mission, and they went back based on wherever the Lord wanted them to further execute the mission of the Lord. So that way, yes, momentarily we'll miss the person, we might even cry, but that's a different scenario vis-a-vis a person who has no knowledge and is completely in bodily concept of life. This is from Ruchi Shrivastava. So it is human to feel sad, it is human to feel grief-stricken, it is natural, but a devotee, when he is equipped with this knowledge, he will be handling that situation much better than a person who is devoid of this knowledge. Is coronavirus pandemic part of Krishna's bigger plan or result of collective bad karma? For sure it is because of collective bad karma, for sure. Because as we know, as you sow, so shall you reap. Reaction. So much of sinful activities are happening in this world. I was reading an article, even in Mumbai, the Deonar slaughterhouse which is there in Chembur, every day, although they have scaled down, not now. Earlier it used to be, I was told that a day 14,000 goats and cows and buffaloes were getting slaughtered. 14,000. Now because of various pressures and various this thing, it scaled down. Just before this lockdown, I was reading an article, the general manager of that slaughterhouse giving an article that we have closed on because of social distancing and the infection and all that. And that's why mutton prices have increased in the market. So in Chembur, as late as 1 month back, 3,000 goats were getting slaughtered every day. 3,000. 3,000 is not a small number. And 250 buffaloes every day were getting slaughtered in Chembur. And mind you, every locality there are shops, butcher shops. And what to talk about mechanized slaughterhouses where lakhs of animals get slaughtered. In the US alone, every hour, this was numbered long time back, I'm sure this number would have increased. Every hour in the US alone, forget about all the world put together, in the US alone, every hour 6,60,000 animals are slaughtered for meat every hour. So far, I think 2 lakh people have died of infection all over the world. America about 50,000, 40,000. 6,50,000 animals, 60,000 animals are slaughtered for meat every hour. It will come, reaction will come.